10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tuesday night, that means it's time for some Power Hour. I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer over there, Mr. Bland, host of the Not Bland Show, Dujanay Bland. Dujanay, good to see you, and we got a lot in the drag racing world to talk about. We've got Buddy Hull on, then David Sharp of Rocket City Dragway, and it is happening everywhere in the world of drag racing right now.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. Pretty cool. I was thinking, you know, Rick Hendrick come over and Talladega's going on, and my man is at a drag strip. Says a lot about the product and his love for drag racing. So, yeah, man, so much stuff going on throughout the world with drag racing. It's a nice time right now. If you need activities, there's plenty to do.
There absolutely is. We'll talk about that later on in the show for sure, and a little bit of that even with Buddy Hull in just a few moments. And you're right. Seeing Mr. H at the drag strip was cool. I don't recall the last time that he was at a NHRA national event or an IHRA national event. Mr. H's involvement in drag racing goes way back. Way back. A lot of people don't realize that. He's no stranger to pro stock racing and also some sponsorship on a nitro car or two as well. So he's been around the sport. He's been around motorsport for a very long time. It's very cool to see HendrickCars.com involved in everywhere they are, including NHRA drag racing. I just want that Kyle Larson switch over, driver swap with Greg Anderson or somebody. I want to see Greg Anderson going turn one into Charlotte. Okay. Yeah. I suspect that he'll do a Kenny Bernstein and just wipe out, but we need to see that. Okay. Let's have it. Let's have it.
Right. I agree. Make it happen. That would be awesome to see for sure. On both ends.
On both ends. I absolutely agree. And, you know, with everything Mr. H is doing, and you see Rick Ware and you see other people getting involved, you never know. You might have Rick Hendrick being more involved than just throwing sponsorship dollars in the future. There are people at this point more interested in NHRA drag racing than I think really any other time of the modern era of NHRA drag racing. So, yeah,
it is pretty wild to see the interest that it's drawing, and you know, can only be good for the sport and for things in the future as far as TV deals, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely. The BW show, we're doing great. Good to see you, Memphis Lonnie and Mac 1320, Josh, Scott, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the like button, hit the share button. We're going to take a quick break. Right after the break, Mr. Buddy Hull. We're going to be talking with him, certainly NHRA 4 wide and where the season is for him right now, but also beyond, because Buddy has got a lot more going on in the world of drag racing than just the NHRA. That's something I like about Buddy. It's not just NHRA drag racing. You can find him involved in many other areas of the sport, and he hasn't been like just this NHRA guy the whole time. He has, ran racing outfits and been involved in the sport in many different ways, levels, and capacities. So certainly someone that's got some great perspective on the sport, even though you may be like, well, Buddy hadn't been around that long. Oh, he's been around longer than you think when you really get down to it. So, folks, very quickly, a break, and we'll get Mr. Hull here on the show. Competition Plus Power Hour is brought to you by Weldon High Performance. Buddy, no stranger to the Competition Plus Power Hour. Welcome once again to the show. Where are you coming from?
It's interesting. Tonight I'm blessed with just finishing up a business meeting with some great gentlemen. I'm right here at the Star in Frisco, Texas, and I'm here with you guys. That's where I'm really at. I'm right here on the Power Hour with you two and all the other fans watching, and that's where I need to be all the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The season for you, you guys have been in the fours. I know you guys are trying to hit the threes there. What's been the difficulty? I know everybody's dealing with it because I don't think every racetrack, the conditions have varied and have been all over the place, especially with the unexpected warm weather that we're seeing right now, really affecting racetracks. But what's been the things you've been battling?
Yeah, first of all, I'm proud of our team. I'm thankful for all of them. They work their butts off. Thankful for all of our sponsors and all of our fans. I got to say that first. But as far as our race car goes, we have really, really worked towards becoming a more competitive team. And when working through, new race car parts and trying to work towards becoming faster, sometimes you go slower. That's just what it is. And I think that's often what fans don't quite get to hear about is when you're trying to move forward in your program and you're putting new parts on the race car and you're trying to go faster, sometimes you go backwards. And it's just like anything in life. You take 2 steps back, you go 3 steps forward. So that's all right. We're going to get there. That 3-second run is right there. Brian Loans, over the weekend, he said, "Buddy, you're breaking my heart, man. You're breaking my heart." And I said, "Brian, it's going to be okay. You and I are going to be just fine. Send him a dozen roses and the rest is history." So we're going to make that 3-second run. It's coming.
It certainly is. And you are absolutely correct. And I don't think people realize that within the sport enough, that just changing a blower can change a tune-up drastically and radically. Yeah. They are not all the same. Even though it seems like we're almost to a spec level of racing, there are still drastic differences that can change the program. And even though you want to go quicker, there's still that learning curve with new parts, pieces, and personnel.
Yeah. Yeah, there always is. I mean, it's just part of the game, right? I mean, these cars they're animals, right? And as far as parts and technology goes, we're at the peak of the sport. We're asking a lot out of fundamentally, dimensionally, a 426 Chrysler Hemi, right? I mean, yeah, we've evolved it a little bit, but ideally, it's still a Chrysler 426 Hemi, and we're asking a lot of it. So the parts are killer. The blowers make a ton of boost. Fuel pumps, they pump a lot of fuel. Magnetos, they make a big old spark, and it's just it's all about controlling the horsepower and getting all the horsepower you possibly can to the tire and finding the edge of the tire smoking, shaking, and being planted at the track and propelling that car down the track to be the quickest, baddest, fastest cars on the earth. So it's just it's a challenge. If it were easy, there'd be a lot more people doing it. It's what it is, and part of the thing that I love the most about NHRA drag racing and driving a nitro funny car is the challenge, because I've always said this, and I reminded myself the story the other day. I was explaining to someone a big theory I have in my life, and it's the boat theory. And the boat theory is simple, right? Everyone loves to go boating. That you feel so free. You're on the ocean, you're on the lake, you're cruising around. But what that boat has to have in order to move forward is resistance, right? Because you got the prop, it's spinning, but without the water resisting against the prop, the boat does not move forward. That's life, right? Without resistance, you cannot move forward. So anytime you're moving forward in your life, what you could expect is some type of resistance. And that's what we're trying to do in our racing program.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
I think it does.
With this 4 wide, it's always fun. Is it always new for you? Like, is it always you find a new challenge as you come out and you attack that type of racing? I mean, I know it's a lot going into it. A lot of the staging is pretty much the same other than 4 lanes, but there's still a lot of, things that can go wrong that can throw you off as a driver. Really affects the focus and really kind of puts you in a position where you really do have to be worried about just your lane and what you're doing.
Yeah, there's a couple dynamics. First of all, you have to have a system, right? So I have a system that reminds me right before I look at the Christmas tree of what one I'm going to look at. I know it sounds stupid. When there's four of them to look at, it's twice as many as we normally look at. So you got to know, you got to have a reminder and have a system for that. Other than that, everything's time intensive, and all of us drivers, we do a good job at understanding that none of us want to smoke our clutch. None of us want to smoke the tires because somebody was goofing off, and so we all do a good job at getting our car staged. But you got, that's the dynamic. The other dynamic is, it's almost more distractions, right? There's 4 lanes, 4 cars, 4 crew chiefs, 4 of everything. So you got to really pay attention. You got to be more focused than you normally are. Not that we're not 101% focused when it's too wide, but you got to focus a little bit more. It's noisy. Good Lord, it's loud. I mean, when you got 3 or 4 cars locked up down there, 800 feet, it is loud. I mean, it is loud in the race car. It's hard to explain how loud it is. It is uncannily loud in the car. So, but it's like anything. When you're a professional in a sport, it's important that you take that in stride and you prepare properly and you do your job. Doesn't matter if it's 1 wide, 2 wide, 3 wide, or 4 wide. So, and that's the approach all of us take. I didn't see one driver in all of Nitro Funny Car Top Fuel Pro Stock last weekend that wasn't doing their job and not staging their car correctly and quote unquote burning somebody down. So, to a certain extent, I think all the pros have became more professional at racing 4 wide.
I agree. It seems like there's been far less chatter the last couple of years of this whole program. There seems to be more of an acceptance of it. And again, you're professionals. The greatest professional golfers, they are the greatest because they played on the tough courses. You get out of the fairway, you're in trouble. You need to work out of it. So if you're going to be professionals, whatever's thrown at you, take that, run with it, overcome it in those conditions. It's that simple.
Yeah.
100%. And if you can't, then maybe you shouldn't be out there. And I got to tell you, there's no one that I raced against that shouldn't be out there. Everyone did a great job. We got a couple of new funny car drivers. You got Spencer Hyde, you got Hunter Green, and I took lights with those guys this year, both of them, and I didn't know that it was Ron Capps, Cruz Pedregon, or Hunter Green, or Spencer Hyde next to me. Those guys do a great job. I kind of like them both too. They're kind of cool dudes.
Yeah. I was thinking that what you were talking about with just being professional with everything, with all that's going on right now, I'm paying attention to like the rounds of racing that we've had. It's a lot on the crew chiefs right now because I feel like the tracks have been extremely tricky, and that knowing and trying to get that car to tiptoe down the racetrack, yet still get the proper ET. Every car doesn't like the clutch to come in at the same spot. It has been a dance and a song and dance with the racetrack, but I love this type of racing because it really gives the crew chief the opportunity to show his skill. But also when the crew chief slightly misses, it gives the driver to also the opportunity to show his or her skill as well.
Yeah, it's been a tuner's race this year, quote unquote, right? I mean, we've had some incredibly odd conditions all year. I mean, we say that every year, right? That conditions are, less than ideal, but this year's been really unique. I mean, we've went from hot to cold, and we've went from really good racetracks to, and let me back up. NHRA does a great job at prepping tracks, but some are better than others, and I'll just say that. And so we went from tracks that are incredibly prepped to some that could maybe improve, and we went from 95 degrees down to 55 degrees, and we've had rain, we've had it all. So it's been a unique season. It's definitely a tuner season.
This season thus far, buddy, I would surmise, looking over where we are at right now and the performance you've had thus far compared to last year, that this team has picked up. Round win already, qualified for most of the races. I think it's only one that you have not qualified. And you look at this year compared to last year, there has been a move forward for Jim Dunn Racing with Buddy Hull at the wheel.
Yeah, I think so. I always say proof's in the pudding and numbers don't lie. The numbers are there, right? So in other words, like you can look at, incremental numbers ET slips, whatever you want to call them, and understand that those are undeniable numbers, whether they're good or bad. You can't deny facts, and so we've definitely moved forward. I've become a better driver. Psychologically, I've become a better driver. Physically, I became a better driver, and it's been great. It's been great. Driving a nitro funny car for Jim Dunn. Our sponsors are incredible, and the only thing I can say is that in no way we're satisfied. Right? If you're satisfied as a drag racer, then you're probably not going to be the team that's moving forward anyway. So we're definitely not satisfied with our performance, but we're taking strides to move forward and doing our absolute best to improve every single time we go out there and have good attitudes about it, right? That's key. One of the hardest things about drag racing is wrapping your mind around and wrapping your heart around that there can only be one winner at the end of the day. So 18, 17, 20 cars, whatever show up. And at the end of the day, there's just one winner. And for some people, that's hard. It's hard to wrap their minds around that they can race for months or years or whatever and not win a round or win a race. But that's just part of the game, and it's part of the thing you have to fall in love with the sport is you have to have the constant desire to improve and get better and hope to win and beat the best in the world, right? There's always somebody that's best in the world. It rotates all the time, right? So there's always the car to beat. There's always the crew chief. There's always the best driver. And everyone's always out to get him. That's just how it works. And that's what makes it so cool.
What does Buddy Hall have his hands in outside of NHRA drag racing? What other things you got going on in the drag racing world?
So I do my best to promote the sport, not just at the racetrack, but off the racetrack. And, I'm thankful for opportunities I've gotten with media. We've developed Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hall. The show is done really well. We've gotten a ton of great feedback. And, I think the biggest part and the part that I feel really good about is being able to feature other drivers that are technically my competitors, but we're all friends, and get them out there, get their message out there, get a little bit of their life out there and showcase them and promote NHRA drag racers as a whole. I believe that every driver has a story, every team has a story. And that's what fans want to hear, right? Yeah, they want to see us go 330 miles an hour and blow big header flames and, all the things we do. But the truth is they want to know the driver. And so I'm very proud to say that I get the easy part. I get to interview these folks, but I got some people that work behind the scenes that are absolutely incredible. Elam Werner is my hero. He's got me on the path, and it's just a blessing to have him. And I mean, just the list is really long. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. My wife is the ultimate supporter. My son's my supporter. He just don't know it yet. And, the whole Jim Dunn Racing team and all of our sponsors. And, I have unique relationships with our sponsors. I text my sponsors jokes, and, I did a massive April Fool's joke with a couple of my sponsors, and they thought I was serious, and I had to undo that, which was really funny. I made it this whole press release that Matt Hagan and I were going to launch a pro stock motorcycle team, and one of them thought I was serious. It was just hilarious, but it's all a blessing, man. I love what I do. I love my life. I'm blessed to be able to hopefully be some type of voice in the sport that promotes drag racing and that inspires people to go out and do cool stuff.
Well, speaking of cool stuff, you've got involvement with finally the season opener of Funny Car Chaos this weekend. Chris Graves has probably lost all of his hair, or may all be gray as a promoter, with the first two races of the year being pushed back. And it's worked out that even this postponed race date that NHRA isn't competing and Funny Car Chaos is going to be firing up. You are a sponsor with Vertex Contractors for the big race, but even beyond that, there's more going on.
Yeah, I love Chris, love Funny Car Chaos. I've really enjoyed working with Chris and supporting that event. And we love it when it comes to town. You know what I mean? I get to go out there and hang out with all my old friends, and there's no pressure. I'm not driving a race car, and really just get to enjoy it. And, Vertex Contractors, that's my company. And it's also a time for, some of my people that work for me to go out there and enjoy themselves in a really laid back atmosphere. And it's cool. My old crew chief, Mike Guger, everyone knows he still works for me. And, Mike got the chance to work with TJ Say over the winter, and we built/rebuilt a really nice nitro funny car in our shop, and John Hale's going to drive it, and that's super cool. And it's all positive, man. Life is good. You know what I mean? I'm so thankful for everything I do, and I work. Yeah, there it is. That's it. That's the hot rod. It's really cool. And John Hale's going to hold the steering wheel on that bad boy. And you want to talk about took it apart, man. We took that thing apart. You know, it went from being a complete car down to, you know, chassis, nuts and bolts, and all the parts and pieces, and just made it really, I mean, basically a brand new race car, and it's pretty cool. And that kept Mike busy all winter. You know, Mike's my buddy, and we had a really good time doing it. You know, it's kind of a cool little time. But I sure love Funny Car Chaos. I think it offers opportunity for racers who want to burn nitro and get the funny car out of the garage to go race in a format that is much more affordable and is very supportive of our support. And hopefully we can get some people to graduate on from those cars into maybe some big show funny cars and top fuel dragsters over the next few years. But can't wait, man. I'm excited.
So I put out a tweet April 21st, and my thought process is, you know, the WWE does a great job, and they have mastered telling stories that captivate millions with whatever narrative that they've got. And yet it is a predetermined sport. Here in the NHRA, we have that same ability to tell stories, you know, that can captivate the audience. And these are real organic stories that unfold in real time. My question to you is, what, as a sanctioning body and along with teams and drivers, what do you feel needs to be done more to get these stories out there, get that real time, real organic reactions out there that can make fans either choose a side or just get them simply electrified for what is going on, and most importantly, involved with your sponsors?
You know, so that's interesting because there's no perfect world, right? I mean, we all know that these, you know, motorsports, you know, money's very important. So there has to definitely be levels of professionalism that and lines that don't get crossed. But there could be opportunities to create some more drama, right? There's definitely I believe this, that for the most part, all of us really get along. You know, there's definitely a brotherhood out there and a sisterhood that's pretty high level. We all understand that what we're doing is really complicated and to a certain extent, you know, it could be dangerous. And so we have a lot of respect for each other, and we give each other that respect. But at the same time, man, as soon as that fuel Hemi starts up, none of us are friends. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who I'm lined up next to. As soon as the cars are running and the Christmas tree flashes amber, I am not that person's friend until we're turned off. And so, you know, you ask a question, you know, how could we, you know, create an opportunity where you see a little bit more drama or whatever? And I think maybe I'll spin off that and say this. I think maybe, and this is not being me critical of any other drivers, but maybe drivers just, you know, out there need to put themselves out there a little bit more, you know, let their personality shine a little bit. You know, I always say that I never rehearse at all any type of interview, including this one. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. And I think that there's a lot of authenticity that comes out because I'm that way. And it's just what I do. I'm not saying it's right, but what I'm saying is, I think when you put yourself out there a little bit more, you know, like that person, love that person, or hate that person, at least you know that person. And I think that creates a fanship, and it can also create a little bit of division and a little bit of maybe like a loyalty towards that particular driver. You know, like speaking of WWE wrestling, right? You're either, I mean, back in the day when I was growing up, you either liked Hulk Hogan or Andre the Giant. Like you didn't like them both. Like it didn't happen.
Right.
Like you were Andre the Giant guy or you were a Hulk Hogan guy. And that's what it was. And it was by choice, right? You got to choose who you liked. And I think maybe a little bit more of assistance in getting the drivers' personalities out there and having a little bit more fun with it. I mean, I certainly can tell you that every driver that I've competed with in Top Fuel and in Nitro Funny Car, is a character. There's no one that's driving one of these cars that is, thin-skinned or doesn't have a story. And so, maybe put those stories out there a little bit more, but at the same time, NHRA does a really good job at some of the things they do. So I don't know. Maybe I just don't have the answer. I'm just going to keep doing what I do and helping other drivers promote themselves and sponsors. And I love NHRA drag racing. I love the sport. And there's nothing cooler than driving a nitro funny car. That's it. That's all I got, man. I don't have the answers, bro. If I did, I don't know. Maybe I'd be rich or something, but I'm not rich. I drive race cars.
Buddy, look, last question for you from me. There is another hot rod in the shop that is a very nice hot rod just sitting there. What's the plans with that long, skinny car?
I'm driving it.
Yeah. Dujanet's got it. I would love to see that car down the track, at least in Dallas. I've talked to a lot of people in the last couple of years that are potentials to drive the car, and I just hope that we can get that thing out there for Dallas. I have an idea in my head of something I've kind of always wanted to do, and if I can make it happen, I will. But if we could do it, if we could pull it off, man, it'd be the coolest thing in the world. But there's nothing set in stone. There's nothing. It's like anything until it happens. It didn't happen. So, but man, it's a beautiful car. It breaks my heart that it's just been sitting there. But I definitely don't. I don't belong in that car anymore. I'm not a top fuel driver anymore. I drive Jim Dunn's Nitro Funny car, and that's where I belong. It's nothing. I'm not the driver. You know what I mean? So, but I definitely would love to see that car go down the racetrack. There's no question. I'd love that. That would, outside of me driving my race car and enjoying that, the next best thing it would be to see the right person in that car and getting a shot at it. I'd love that.
I need to go get some money.
Come on, man. Let's go.
Need to go get some money. Yeah.
Hey, dude, I got an idea. How about this? How about we get in touch with Tracy Chapman's record label? We get a little money, and here's what I want to do. I just want to put just no stickers on the car, nothing. I just want to put Tracy Chapman on the side of the car. You know why?
Why?
Because that's a fast car.
Got it.
You make that deal work. I've always wanted to do that. I just someday I just want to have a plain race car, nothing on it. It just says Tracy Chapman. And when anybody says anything, why does it say that? Because that's a fast car.
Fast car. That would be awesome.
It'd be cool.
Awesome.
Buddy, keep stirring the pot, keep working up the good ideas, and keep that Jim Dunn funny car in the right direction. More win lights coming up soon for sure. Thank you for your time right here on the Power Hour, man.
Thank you, too, for having me. I love being on here. It's a blessing. Thank you, guys.
For sure,
see you, buddy.
I'll be in touch.
Yeah, Tracy Chapman style.
Yes, sir.
Buddy Hall, always one to pull for, root for out there in NHRA drag racing and doing more in the world of drag racing in Funny Car Chaos and beyond. Definitely like what he's doing in the sport. Some more like Buddy would be beneficial for the sport. I firmly believe that, Mr. Bland.
Yeah, it would be tremendous. The work that he does, and it's just so natural, man. That's why I said with the Talking Funny Cars, that was the right guy to do it. His personality, such a likable guy, but he's just genuine. You know what I mean? He's really genuine, and I think that comes across to anyone and everyone that he meets.
Yes, that is true. Well, Dujanay, we're going to take another break in just a moment and go to another side of the sport. You've got in Buddy Hull, driver and also owner, with owning a car and having done that, but now being the wheel man for Jim Dunn Racing. And we're going to switch gears and talk with Mr. David Sharp, who is the track operator there at Rocket City Dragway. Many people are going to remember that drag strip as Huntsville Dragway. And if you're old enough, like Satellite and other names as well, it's had many renditions, but I think its best rendition, its brightest rendition, is right now with Rocket City Dragway and what you have got with David Sharp there. They've got a big event this weekend, bringing some nitro back to town. It was a big hit last year, and looking forward to it. It's going to be another big hit. So we're going to take a break and chat with Mr. Sharp. I know many of those cars that are going to be there at that drag strip, Rocket City Dragway. They are going to be running products that they got from Competition Products to get those nitro methane burning machines down the track. For your nitro burner, for your race gas burner, for your street rod, hot rod, whatever you need in Competition Products has got the products you need.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
David Sharp, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour. How you doing, David?
Hey, outstanding. Glad to be here. We're here a little late tonight. The team's out here getting the track prepped. When you bring nitro and jet dragsters and those types of things to the track, we want to make sure we're really sure about the surface and all that. So we're team's getting an opportunity. We bought some new Kurt Johnson TBC equipment here, and they're out there. You may see a little flame in the background, but that's just the track scraper doing its thing.
All right. And look, this program, with everything you're doing at Rocket City Dragway, it was a revival program in and of itself of bringing some things back to Rocket City that had not been there in a long time. And last year, this was a big hit. And I think, again, you're going to have a bigger hit this weekend.
Yeah, we're excited about this. The Extreme Top Fuel team, you go look at, kind of the evolution, of the sport. Nitromethane started with slingshot dragsters, and those dragsters, Jimmy Young and that whole team of what I call characters are coming to the Rocket City Dragway again. And that was a big hit last year. Side-by-side racing, just really close competition. This is a points race for the Extreme Top Fuel team. And getting that, and again, getting the young kids, one of the things that we're proud of too, if you're a kid, you're 10 and under, get your parents, bring out, it's free. We want the kids to come out here. And the greatest thing about drag racing, I'll beat this drum till for many years, is the true sport where you can go in the pit, see the drivers, see the crew chiefs, see the equipment, listen to the sights and sounds, and there's nowhere else that you can duplicate that.
And I believe, to add to all of that fun, this is the place where you get to hear throttle wax, right?
Oh yeah, you got Jim Orbon. I mean, that dude right there, he's on a different level when it comes to that. And I guess since we're just gonna call out Jim, I'm gonna call out Bland here too. Or does he got our address, Lee? I don't. I may have saw him here last year, but I got his ticket at the will call booth. You want to pick him up? You want me to go get him? How you want to do this?
Yeah, I don't think Dugenais has been up that way. We'll have to get him up that way for sure for an event. I know
we just got a brand new, it's new to us, not new to, but we've got a brand new GMC short bus that we're using to, we used it to haul people for the Bounce House America, the world's largest bounce house when it was here. Into May, we've got the Isley brothers here. We're gonna have a big crowd, so I can take him in the short bus and go pick him up, and we get the music blaring, the whole thing. Yeah.
Hey, he's not that far. He's down there in Valdosta. That's not that far.
Oh yeah, I go by. I can
make modern day and time for
we
sure.
We make that all the time down there to see Duck and them. So yeah, we can go see. We'll stop by and see Raul and then Torres family, and then go by and pick him up. No problem.
And look, certainly there's a lot more to talk about this weekend, but you just mentioned that at the drag strip, going to have this huge, massive bounce house. And you have said many times, beyond Rocket City Dragway, it's Rocket City Dragway, an event center. Like, it is more than just a drag strip. And you are attempting to do those things with this facility. Why is that necessary for drag strips in this day and time? And how has that worked so far?
So we just had the Bounce House America team here, complete sellout every single day. We did have a little weather condition on Sunday, so we had to do some shuffling, and caused us to, the philosophical approach I had was, hey, on Sunday, we're going to have opening day for the Dragway. And then after you drag race, you can go bounce. So we had an adult only session, but the weather kind of impacted us there. But Friday and Saturday, it was just incredible. We had a great number of families and kids. Had people I went to high school with and college with that showed up and said, "Hey, bring that thing back." That was great. But just part of the, there's a dual fold here. As a drag strip, I think we have to be maybe a little more community focused. There's the elephant in the room is, hey, some days we're noisy. Some days we may be a little bit of a nuisance. And if there's things we can do to give back to the community in different community events at this event center, then, we're going to do that, and we're currently, like I mentioned, we've got on May the 24th, for Memorial Day weekend, we've got the Isley brothers here. That's both Ernie and Ronnie Isley. We've got a group called Midnight Star, an early dance band. We've got Big Daddy Kane, Pokey Bear, and a whole host of others. But the great thing about it, you can start camping with me on Thursday. You can camp on Friday. You can camp on Saturday. You bring your tents, your food, all your supplies, and we kind of get you on the event center field, and this place is going to be packed. Having the Isley brothers here was a big score for us. Same way with the Bounce House America. We're currently in negotiations to bring the fair back to Madison County here, and we're about in our 5th round of that to try to get that locked in for August. But still a lot of big things. And as we've talked before, Lee, is we're still crawling a little bit here. There's a lot of dynamics that go on with drag racing, a lot of things that still need to be updated here. But having these events and having the fans be able to come and see things like Extreme Top Fuel. We just booked a jet dragster. Larry and Irina Aldridge are coming from North Carolina with their jet dragster, which is going to be a special treat that we originally didn't have in the plan. But fortunate to have them here with the Nostalgia Drag Racing League, and we're even going to let the junior dragsters put on a little show there on Saturday as well.
You talked about the relationship and building a relationship with the community. And that to me is of uber importance, because it really plays a role. Like you said, sometimes you're noisy, and it really plays a role in people seeing value in the drag strip. Could you kind of explain how through these events your relationship with the community has grown, and as far as not just with those who live amongst the community, but also those who may be of council or whatever, as far as government?
Yeah, we've got a great relationship with with our officials here locally. Mac McCutcheon is our county commission chairman, and he is, he understands that there's some dynamics with the drag strip, and we've got to do things to make sure we're being a good neighbor while we're here too. But as you mentioned, showing value to the community, that we are multifaceted, and also when you take a town like Huntsville, you just met, I normally don't talk about politics and these type things, but one of the things that was originally planned for here was Space Command for the United States. That's going to be a new branch of the military that's being put up, and I firmly believe that's going to be put here in Huntsville, Alabama. And what does that mean? We're growing like 10 people a day here in Huntsville, and you would be shocked. This track's been here since 1961, but we still run into people that doesn't know that we have a drag strip. So giving these other venues, whether it's a bounce house, whether it's a concert, whether it's a bike race, whether it's kite flying, whatever those things we do, those open up the aperture and allow an audience that maybe wouldn't come to us, that would come and see drag racing. So that as a promoter, that's probably one of the toughest things we do, is bringing new people in the fold, and getting a younger generation into this drag racing scene.
getting a younger generation in and what you're doing with the track, again, applaud a lot of the efforts. You've had car groups and university groups come together and do some unique things at the facility and be a part of it in the community. So you're definitely wrapping all of that together and building that rapport and building Rocket City Dragway as a place where people can launch off, if I may say, in car culture and beyond.
Yeah, I think those things, you mentioned, like we partnered up with one of the larger historically black colleges here in Huntsville, being Alabama A&M. They're in Normal, Alabama. Last year we had a great turnout. Over 400 plus cars, crews from set up there. They had the band, had the cheerleaders, and good news for the university. It got the president to kind of showcase some of the things he's doing at the university. They got to come with us, and then we had a car show at the Civic Center. And some of those things of when I talk about like open the aperture this year, we were able to we actually had race night at our local semi-pro hockey team here. So we were kind of the feature there. And again, the hockey team is just doing a great job in Huntsville, but they've sold out like 30 events in a row. And so, they even had special made jerseys that auction off at the end of the night. But again, it was a great opportunity for us to, kind of put our sales pitch on kind of what we're bringing the community and what we have to offer from a calendar in 2025. And if you look at these next 30 days that we've got in place here, we've got a mountain we're climbing here, but it's going to be cool for this community to have not once, but twice. We got nitromethane here this week, and then Pro Mods the following week on the May 9th and 10th. And then when you look forward, the first weekend in June, I got to get y'all guys here, but we've got AA fuel altereds here. We've got wheel standers and jet cars again. So that's going to be a double whammy all in a span of 30 days there.
Do you know how many cars you guys are going to have on the premises this weekend?
It's so I think from the standpoint of the our field for the Nostalgia Extreme Top Fuel group is a 8-car qualified field. We're going to try to twist their arms a little bit. So whoever gets put out, we're going to have them come back for the next round and kind of run one another and just make sure that the fans are getting the full dose. And they honored us with that last year, and I'm gonna try to twist them again. Maybe give them some of this Southern barbecue to sweeten the pot. But we've got the cool thing is I go a lot to the West Coast. They invented a thing there called the Cackle Fest, and if you go look at like what Steve Gibbs and his daughter Cindy are doing with that thing has just grown leaps and bounds. But we do it Alabama style here. So all 8 of those top fuelers are going to crank up here at 4:30 on Saturday. And this race, I don't know if I told you, Lee, but this race is a memorial race for Emily Hunt. Unfortunately, good news. Emily, a bright, just a great personality. Young, 16 years old, and she won the crew chief competition last year to be a crew member on actually Jim Orban, what I call the Whack Master, and his team, and they just, she just had a great time and just she made a big impact on that team. And unfortunately, she was involved in a car wreck back in late last September and lost her life. So that's been a big impact on our community, and their family were big, vocals in the drag racing. Her mom and dad actually even owned one of the tracks for a period of time in Tennessee. So we felt it was fitting to do a memorial for her. So we're going to have Brother Daryl Taff here from the Racers for Christ, and he's going to do a little memorial service before we get started with that Alabama version of Cackle Fest.
Spectacular. Good things, David. Look, before we let you go, certainly we want people to attend this weekend, but if they're not able to attend this weekend, get to Rocket City Dragway eventually. Check it out, experience it. You got some great things going on there in northern Alabama.
We got testing. We're doing something new here where we got Tuesday test and tune. So it's first of the month. We're going to let people come out. You'll get your street cars, come out and check it out. If you got a radio car, you got a hot rod, drag race, you just want to make a pass, we're going to open it up, doing something a little different for Tuesday nights. But, We just had our first IHRA points race. The memberships are online, and I'm gonna keep hammering this home. For $110 in IHRA now, you get $1 million in insurance coverage. That's on any IHRA track you're on, as long as you've got that membership. So these grudge guys, these street guys, these radio guys, Top Fuel, whatever you are, go get that membership. It's $110. It gives you the benefit of getting the insurance. Then also it gives you the opportunity to run in the points. We've got a unique situation here this year where the division finals are back here at Huntsville, and then the world finals are in Steele literally a week later. So that is just a great opportunity for all the people in the South. And we're going to come out of that and go right into this sick week. Since we talked last, a sick week. I'll have to double check with Tom and the gang, but I believe we set a record. We sold that thing out in like 92 seconds here, with the gassers being the feature at the Six Smokies, we're calling it, and it starts here in Huntsville at the Rocket City Dragway, and it ends here. So you'll need to come down and check that out as well.
Well, David, look, keep up the good work. Last thing, from someone that is running, operating, directing a drag strip directly to the fans, what would you like to say? What do they need to understand? What don't they understand?
I think the toughest thing in the drag racing arena is probably, the internet some days can be your best friend, and some days the internet can be your worst enemy, right? And so, when we do things wrong or bad, we need to be held accountable. And we always are trying to put our right foot forward and do the right things. And some days we make mistakes, and when we do, we got to adapt to that. But I believe the uh, the best thing that the fans can do is support your tracks. Same way the racers. We've got to have racer support, and we got to have fan support. Fans are what pays the bills here. That is what puts the revenue back in the track to allow you to do the renovations and the things to stay on cutting edge, whether it's track equipment, whether it's renovated bathrooms, whatever they may be. And I would ask that fans, as they're going through this journey with us, to try to be positive and build the tracks up. We need you to share. We need you to like. We need you to follow. We need you to tag a friend. No different from what they're doing here with the Competition Plus Live Hour. The fans drive this sport, and they are the most important feature. And again, from our side, we need to bring value. We need to show value. We need to prove value. That's in the community to our fan base, and we need to grow that fan base. And once I get that figured out, I'm gonna be a lot further ahead of the curve here.
All right, David, man, look, thank you for the time. Can not wait to get back to Rocket City Dragway. If I did not have Southeast Gassers Association going on down at Holiday Raceway, I would be
That's
there.
right. You got that. Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
So,
hey, we're still twisting the arm down there, Sega. We want them here. We're gonna make that happen in 2026, and we're gonna do big things there. And you think Bland would mind if I had 4 or 5 people on the short bus when I come to pick him up? Because these Southern people, they like to party on the way back.
Yeah, we're good with that.
All right. Hey, always good talking with you guys. You got an open invitation anytime you want to come here. And appreciate the opportunity to kind of talk about, Top Fuel, nitromethane, Nostalgia Drag Racing League, and jet cars. They're here May 2nd and 3rd. Y'all come check it out.
Spectacular. You all do that. Thank you, David.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
David Sharp and the team there at Rocket City Dragway doing some good things, reviving a track that it was lost really in so many ways, shape, form, and fashion. And they are working hard to bring it back. And I know last year was able to be there for 2 or 3 events, and they got some good things going on there. Dugenais, certainly a track that I think people need to keep their eye out on. One of the things last year he shared is the staggering number of what aluminum bleachers, aluminum grandstands cost. It is astronomical.
What?
And for the grandstands that they have, and they've got a lot of grandstands there at Huntsville Dragway for an 8th mile track, and they are like a prefabbed concrete type of structure. Very interesting structure for bleachers. And they also got some wooden bleachers as well. But, you know, kind of like, hey, what would it cost to replace all of this? Millions
That's
of
insane.
dollars.
For a little
Yes. So, again, when you are like, well, why doesn't the track do this, the track do that? Folks, it's not just do this and do that. You have to have the funds to do it, the capital, and it takes time. But they're certainly putting in the work and making that place a better place to race, and also giving North Alabama again another place to race. It's good that that is the case. Alabama's going to be jumping this weekend. Sega down there just west of Birmingham, Alabama at Holiday Raceway for the first time ever. You've got the Extreme Top Fuel and Jets and Nostalgia Drag Racing League. They're there at Rocket City Dragway. And then I think like graduations happening for a lot of the universities, even there in Tuscaloosa. So a lot of things going down in Birmingham. IndyCar, you know, I know we don't talk about IndyCar here, but, you know, just because we're a drag racing show, but they're in Birmingham on the east side at Barber Motorsports Park. So Alabama is the place to be. I'm not sure if they're out of their drunken stupor from Talladega last weekend, but they got more motorsports ready to go.
Yeah. So it means it's going to be a quick turnaround for the beer drinkers, and it's back to it this weekend. There's a lot of racing going on.
Right, back to it. Well, Dejanay, look, I think there were some peak moments at the 4-Wide Nationals there at ZMAX Dragway. We'll talk about those briefly and some of the other drag racing that's taking place this weekend. A lot is happening. I know we keep saying it, but it is true that drag racing right now, it's at its peak. Just about, except for those maybe up in the northern lands. They're still waiting a little bit, but man, things are jumping below the Mason-Dixon line. It is going hot. It's at a peak time.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
Dejanay, man, I know you were following closely what happened there at ZMAX, and you, before jumping on the show here, were able to speak with two of the winners, from what I understand, on your show, the Not Bland show. So, Sean Langdon, his thoughts on a momentous win. He picks up the Wally and a trophy that mimics the very first trophy that Don Garlitz won as the first winner of Top Fuel, with being the winner of the 1,000th Top Fuel race in NHRA history. Yeah,
insane. You know, he talked about the fact that, you know, in the beginning it was just, they knew about the 1,000th race, and of course it'd be cool to win it, but, you know, the same athlete approach, you know, it's just another race, you know, gonna do it the same way we always do it. But he said, you know, once everything happened and he gets out of the car and Don's down there with the trophy, and then he has this moment where, you know, he's having a conversation with Don and you know, Connie, and he's just kind of looking around, and he's like, what the heck am I doing standing here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he really had some moments, and you know, it's wild, you know, when you think about it, from where you come from to get to the point where he's at right now, racing for, you know, one of the greats in this sport. And then to come away, you know, you've already been a champion, but you really cement yourself in history with this monument, this moment of 1,000 Top Fuel races, and you are the one who wins that. Truly, truly a moment for them. And, it's funny because they are ahead of schedule, but when they came into this race, they were right on schedule or where they had been last year. They had 2 wins at this time last year. Unfortunately, they had 2 first-round exits in Vegas and in Charlotte, but they had already won twice. They were 9-3 going into that round win-loss record, but now you add this to it, they're 12-3 going into Chicago and 2 wins. So they are right where they were before. And last year in Chicago, they went all the way to the final. Just was the runner-up to Antron Brown. So magic can happen again. And right now, this team has come out very aggressive and confident, as he said. Brian is confident. They were doing their thing last year, but he said Brian has more confidence coming into this year. And I think you're seeing that with the way they're attacking the racetrack, and, really not just trying to win a round, but they're looking to take it from someone.
Top Fuel, what a historic race for it, and Sean Langdon picking up the win. We don't have a repeat winner yet on that list, and we're going to have to wait a little while till we get to another 100th marker. And certainly, 1,000th just has some meaning to it from the first one. So we're going to be a little while till we get to that next significant marker, but it's certainly going to be interesting to see who can kind of be the first to double on that list, I think, overall. Also, I thought it was a cool move. Cold Heart Art, able to, make those trophies, does a fine job with all the trophies that he produces, talented individual. Well, he made 2, and they gave one to Don Garlitz to go along with that first one. That's very cool. To see the NHRA do that and Don be honored, because we live in a day and time where Don Garlitz is held in very high regard and reverence, but Don Garlitz and the NHRA wasn't always a great mixture. There were issues in the past, and rightfully so. And Don moving things forward, Don doing things a little differently, Don beating to his own drum. But it is good that the NHRA honored him in the way that they did, and they provided that type of moment. That was very cool. I'm glad to see that.
It was. I believe they said that the other trophy got destroyed in a hurricane.
Yes.
So that was awesome. That was awesome to see that happen for him. Great guy. And the dude is still like, he's still spring chicken. Like he's like in his 90s and he looks great. Moving around great.
I know it's amazing. Some of these, if you will, patriarchs of motorsports, and Don Garlitz still getting around, still doing tours at his shop, tinkering on things. I think of Richard Petty every time I see Richard Petty on a NASCAR broadcast. I'm like, dang, he looks better than a lot of people I know that are way younger. It is absolutely amazing. It's good to see, and we certainly will be having people go by and go on that were some of the greats. And do want to take the time in mentioning that Bubba Corzine. Bubba, condolences to you, the guy that is the race director at Funny Car Chaos, but he has done way more than that in the sport. He's been there, race director with IHRA, ADRL, a pro stock racer himself. You can see Bubba Corzine spinning out in the grass of Englishtown beyond the quarter mile and competing with greats such as Warren Johnson and Bob Glidden. And he lost his wife, Letha, this past week. And condolences out to you, Bubba. And just thinking about you. And with that being said as well, finally, Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos is able to fire up this weekend at the Texas Motorplex. They're celebrating a milestone year, 40 years of existence and operation. And
Nice.
the Nitro is about to be burned with Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos coming to town. I know Chris Graves is ecstatic, is excited, is chomping at the bit to finally get some racing in for Chaos.
Yeah, they've had weather issues kind of rain on their parade, so to speak. And yeah, I know they've been itching to get this thing kicked off, and I'm happy it's time now.
Yes, I so glad that they're able to fire up the season, and that race tends to produce unexpected winners, especially in the A field. So look for the results on that one. And most of the time, those that you think are going to go in there and walk away with it, they don't tend to do that. So keep your eyes peeled on the A fields.
Yeah, that I love that aspect of not any predictability. It can go either way. It makes it for fun, makes it fun for fans, fun for racers too, but it really does make it fun for fans. You get some amazing stories that usually come out on the other end when it comes down to winners. So that's really cool.
It is. I go back to that first one. It looked like Dale Worsham had everybody covered, and that's because he did. But in the final round, he had to pedal that car once, and that was enough. That was enough for Kyle Smith to get around and turn on the wind light in the little methanol burner against the big bad nitro burner and pick up the win. So you never know what might happen in Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos. You can still get tickets. You can still be there. Some big drag races are happening this weekend from there at the Texas Motorplex with Chaos to the track that David Sharp is operating at Rocket City Dragway with Extreme Top Fuel. Dujane, Southeast Gassers Association at Holiday Raceway. First time to be at this track just west of Birmingham, Alabama, in Woodstock, Alabama. You're not going to be with us this weekend, but I'm sure that even though you got family happenings, you wish you were at the happening that is the Bama Brawl. I think you've come to like some Sega racing.
Yes. I'm missing that. Wish I could be there. It's going to be a knockdown drag out for real. We've gotten 2 races into this season. There's been story after story after story with this thing, and going to have some new people out there, I believe, that are going to be able to bring their cars out this weekend as well. And it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Joker's still trying to get that record. We've got a little back and forth going with those two and others within all the classes. It's a show, man, and it's a show that you need to get out and get to and enjoy. You will not be disappointed. You will not be disappointed at all. I am a little hurt that I won't be able to be there.
Well, we look forward to seeing you there. Races to come, and appreciate the hard work that you have put in. And I know here lately, I got to do some confirming, but we might have an interesting appearance on the media team this weekend to fill in the gap. So looking forward to that. And again, also with that being said, help expose people to Southeast Gas Association drag racing, and also just give people more opportunities within the sport. I think we need that. I think the NHRA, I think Flow drag racing, I think there needs to be a rotational program of giving people shots and building the portfolio of talent, whether that's on the camera or behind the camera or both, to pull from. Like right now, if you are a track and you're looking for an announcer, that's a very tough role to fill right now. It's a very tough role to fill.
It's tough.
It's also very tough to fill with a series, because you have a lot of folks, they get that role, they get that position, and they don't want to let no one else have any time to build an opportunity, to build in their talent, to build in that role. So if you're out there and you're one of those people that likes to keep doors shut, you're part of the problem in the sport.
Yeah. Yep. And that only lessens the pot for people to choose from, especially when either A, they're not able to do it any longer, or they're no longer here. There's nobody to pick up that torch. So
yes,
it is important to kind of give people the opportunity to learn, give people the opportunity to showcase their skills, and keep the ball rolling, because announcing is not easy, as many may think. That is not an easy job. I do not envy any of those, from Jason Galvin, to Joe Costello. I don't envy those people. That's not an easy job to do at all.
It is not. And it fascinates me how often people like to comment about announcers, and yet they've never done anything in front of the public at all. It fascinates me. They can't even hold a team meeting at their place of employment.
Right.
Much less be in front of thousands of folks and be heard by thousands of folks on TV or on a streaming platform. It's absolutely fascinating to me that people make such comments and are willing to type away on the internet and, wallop whoever of what they can and can't do. It is odd and strange to me. That doesn't mean that you can't notice that, hey, there needs to be some improvement here or there, for sure. But it is a very challenging job. Thus far, I've announced one whole drag race. And I thought I was prepared. I took time. I did my homework. But when you begin talking and when you begin announcing, you come to realize how much more you needed in the moment to talk about what's happening in front of everybody.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, just working the starting line camera, working, the swing camera. You're like, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Why the hell are they doing this? And you're like, this is not that easy at all. It takes a certain level of skill to do that. And sometimes you're going to miss. It happens. It's one of those things. But you don't know until you actually stick your feet in it and actually have to do it. And you find out, that ain't as easy as it looks. And I tell you, I'd rather announce football or any other sport than drag racing. That in itself is that is a difficult field to get into, and that not just anybody can do it. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yes, great stories happening in the Southeast Gas Association. If you are in the area west of Birmingham, or you're willing to travel, you will not be disappointed in the show that the Southeast Gassers Association is going to put on at Holiday Raceway. And Dugenais, as you mentioned, in A-Gas, plenty of stories. Looking forward to seeing what Ben Christopher is going to be able to do coming back after hurting something majorly in that motor, though he was number one qualifier. I think of the battle we have between Briley Stott, Michael Oden, and yet Ken Rainwater and Ted McKee show up as some seniors. Not that Ken is old, but they've been in that category of B-Gas as top competitors for a while now. So B-Gas is highly competitive. Yeah. All of them really are. And AFX is going to have one of the biggest turnouts that it's had, supposedly, ever here at Holiday Raceway, the Bama Brawl coming up.
And heavy hitters in there, man.
Heavy hitters. It's going to be cool to see. And, there are a lot of Alabamians that are in Sega competition. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. These competitors in Sega are very regional and very territorial, and they love their states. And you've got David Lancaster, the voice of Sega, oftentimes letting you know where these people are from. And you've got the battle of the Tennessean against the Alabamian, or the Georgian against the South Carolinian. And it's good. It's good. And it's played up, and they play right into it. So, can Ted McKee in his volunteer orange Rocky Top missile Nova come down to Holiday Raceway in the heart of Crimson Roll Tide country and take a win? There's more on the line than just Sega. We're getting to SEC territory.
Exactly. Yeah, that's going to be fun. There's so much behind these drivers and these cars that it just really comes to the surface. It makes for a great show, and the guys and girls that drive in this thing really also make the show great. There's going to be a lot of great stories that come out of that this weekend, because the action is strong right now, and the competition is extremely tough. There's a lot of great cars out there.
The Deep South right now, a lot of great racing happening. We've just mentioned the Funny Car Chaos Classic there in Texas. We've mentioned the Bama Brawl. You've got the race happening at Rocket City Dragway that we talked with Mr. Sharp about. And this race, TJ Pruitt with drag coverage is putting on Drag Fest 2025. Blown Pro Mods, Nitrous Pro Mods, all coming together at Gulfport Dragway, which is a fine facility. Southeast Gassers Association will be back there again this year when Cruising the Coast is in Gulfport, Mississippi. This is another great event. If you're in the area, man, go enjoy the beach. Go enjoy some drag racing May 2nd, 3rd down there in Gulfport Dragway, and catch the action that is taking place there. And TJ Pruitt doing some good things in the neck of the woods of Mississippi, Alabama, promoting some drag racing and putting on some good shows. He's got a great show at Alabama International Raceway there at Steele, Alabama, that happens later on in the year. And there is still some good pro mod drag racing that happens throughout the country that is not the highest tier necessarily of pro mod drag racing. And it's still competitive, and it's still good. I don't know about you, Dujanay. I don't have to see 350s clicked off every time to enjoy a good drag race.
No, I don't. It's really just all about the racing. It doesn't matter how fast they're going. And as you see in that picture, there's not a lot of Camaros in there. So that also makes it fun. We have some variety out there of pro mods and their style and the paint jobs, all of it really brings the whole package together. So that's going to be fun. I don't need to. It doesn't need to be the fastest to be great. Pro mods, no matter what, are just fun to watch.
Absolutely. And you mentioning that pro mod right now in the modern day, it is extremely fast and extremely competitive, and it is extremely entertaining. But I also believe it, along with pro stock, there's a bit of its essence that's been lost.
Mm-hmm.
Pro mod was always about, can I take this car that should not go fast and make it go fast?
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, you look just in this flyer, you have got a Vet, you've got a Camaro, and you got a Chevelle.
Yep.
And you start looking at other people that have entered. There's already a Willis, and there's already several other body styles that have entered, and they're going to be competing. And I grew up on pro mod that was wild, and that was strange, and you never knew who was going to be rolling out with a brand new car that just made absolutely no sense to be running in pro mod.
You might have a Bel Air out there with a in pro mod. I mean, it was you had all kinds of different stuff.
Lamborghinis at one time, Studebakers.
Yeah.
Just you got to appreciate the people who are willing to run something just a bit different. Now, talking about top tier level pro mod drag racing, the PDRA is in action this weekend. They are at Virginia Motorsports Park for the Mid-Atlantic Showdown, and the top competitors of Pro Boost and Pro Nitrous and all the other classes in the PDRA, including Extreme Pro Stock, they are going to be there at Virginia Motorsports Park. And if you want to see some of the finest Pro Mod, finest Extreme Pro Stock, finest door slammer drag racing in the country, it happens at a PDRA race. You got to check it out.
Yeah. I think that's the highest, one of the highest levels of Pro Mod racing right there. It should be a blast out there. Great track. Should be some great racing out there. And Blake, nah, man, I leave that to the pros. It sounds good, but I'm no announcer, my guy. Not for drag racing. I am not. Appreciate it though. Appreciate the vote of confidence there.
It's a different ball game. It's a different ball game. Oh, by the way, guys, check out Mac 1320 on YouTube. I took some time to go over and check the channel out. She's doing some good things with drag racing. Go over and over some history points and bringing up some good shorts concerning the sport. So swing by, give Mac 1320, Mac _1320, and make sure you put the underscore in. It will help bring up the channel properly. But doing some good work over there in the shorts department in drag racing. So go and give a sub over there.
Yeah, great stuff over there. I've been watching a lot of what she's been putting out. Great stuff. And she is a current Drag Race Bracket Bonanza winner as well.
Oh, well, very good. Very good. That's tough. That's not easy to do.
You need to watch the video of her unpacking the plaque. It's great. It's great. It's 100% natural reaction of excitement. You need to see it.
Hey, what Elin Warner has done is just absolutely perfect for the sport of drag racing with Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, and then he's got everybody involved to give gifts. It's not, most of the time you do a fantasy league, you might get something at the end of the year that the guys have pulled together, or you're in a bigger league and it's at the end of the year and for a champion. But, we have event champions. You win weekly in whoever you're competing against in all those other fantasy groups, but yet you don't get anything. Man, it's very cool with Drag Race Bracket Bonanza that when you win, you get something. Elin sends out, you get it signed, and like he's mentioned, some of them are personalized in a different way. Like whoever gets the 1,000th top fuel win one, that's just going to be special.
Oh man, that's
even
special.
For the person who won the perfect bracket there.
Yeah, that's special. It is a great operation, and all those who get involved, Summit, all who gets involved to help sponsor a lot of these things. It makes it great, and really is great promotion, not just for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, but it really does get the fan to sink into the brand as well that is sponsoring that particular race or whatever. So it is a two-way street, and really has caught fire here. You got Dave W, top 12 in the world right now.
Good job.
Yeah, it's insane.
Good job.
Insane.
Top 12.
Top
Who's number
12.
1?
Let me look.
Let's take the time. Let's give a shout out. Who's number 1?
Let's see. We are looking at number 1. Season number 1 is Pro Stalker. He or she is number 1 in the world.
And now we have a mystery of who is Pro Stalker. We promise we won't stalk you to know who you are.
Right.
But we would like to know. Giving a shout out, Pro Stalker, number one, he or she in the world right now, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza.
Hey, I'm not mad though. I'm 121. I mean, that ain't bad.
Out of how many people are playing now? We had Elon on 3,000 regularly.
Yeah. It's deep. I've been in the 600s at the end of some races last year. But yeah, to be sitting 121 right now, it's a lot better than where I was last year. That's for sure.
All right, good deal. Yeah, hey, being in the 100s out of the players that are there with all of the craziness that has happened this year and will absolutely continue. It's not stopping anytime soon.
No, it was insanity this past weekend. I think it was 12 bracket busters this weekend. If you went out on a limb, you did right. I could have gone out a little bit more on a limb, especially in Top Fuel, but my Pro Stock and my Pro Stock bike were fairly good, but Nitro was not very friendly. Although I did pick Sean Langdon out of the gate. I just had that feeling he was going to win, and it happened. So I at least got that right.
Right. Well, folks, put in the comments section, where are you going to be watching drag racing this weekend? A lot of great drag racing shows for you to be able to experience, from PDRA to Extreme Top Fuel, Southeast Gassers Association, to Pro Mods in action there in Gulfport, and the Texas Motorplex hosting Nitro Chaos and Funny Car Chaos. There are plenty more events that we are failing to mention because there's drag racing happening everywhere, and you don't know about all of the events that are out there. There's somewhere near you that you can catch drag racing. Get to the track and support your local venue, except for the extreme far north. We know you're not quite there yet. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And when it does, boom, you're going to be there and have some great racing. They know how to get it in a short amount of time and pack event after event after event in that part of the hemisphere. But Dugenais, the talk right now is, well, I've got to say this. It's not quite the talk yet, because Bobby Bennett, the head honcho of CompetitionPlus.com, put out just hours before the show an article discussing some things that, if you've been paying attention, you've been hearing the rumblings, even though there hasn't been an announcement. There have been key figures that are no longer with the IHRA.
Yeah.
And we haven't had an official announcement from the IHRA on these figures moving on. Also, this morning, I saw an announcement. I was concerned eventually I would see this announcement, but the National Tractor Pulling Association, the NTPA, they announced that the Mule City 300 that happens at Galat Motorsports Park, because Galat Motorsports Park does have a tractor pulling section of the facility, is not going to happen because the new ownership, IHRA, owning now Galat Motorsports Park, something financially has not come through for the NTPA to go and hold that event at that facility. I thought that might happen with all of the upheaval, but we have had people leave, from what we understand, and Rich Schaefer and also Alan Reinhart.
I heard Schaefer was fired.
So they have moved on. And we also have now a cancellation of in essence, national event for another major motorsport that doesn't have that many of those type of events in the Southeast, mind you, compared to other parts of the country, at a facility that is a prime facility for drag racing and for tractor pulling.
Yeah.
So we keep doing this with the IHRA. We get announcements that it looks like it's moving forward. and then they take 2 steps back. They tell us they're buying tracks, and yet tracks say nothing's happened. But then we start seeing tracks being purchased, and we're like, okay, there was some merit to this. But then we see people that we thought they needed, that they thought they were going to work with and move forward with, they move on.
Yeah. What I want to know is what the common denominator is. Because the common denominator is the person that needs to hit the road. Because basically, I'll say this at this point. This is embarrassing, and you're embarrassing yourself. You misspeak, you jump the gun. You get things going, you think you assemble the right people, and then somehow you manage to flub it up. I mean, they can't get out of their own way. And there has to be one common denominator somewhere that is the person that's getting in the way of this thing happening. Because I can tell you, there's people that would be interested in running their cars over there if this were to come to fruition. But for whatever reason, I don't think it's the people that are leaving that are the problem of reason why things are not moving forward. There's someone that is behind the scenes that people are walking away from because they are the common denominator of being the person in the damn way.
Right. And you've got to wonder what the heck is happening. Look right here. There has been massive sweeping changes to this contact board explaining who these people are and were, as you could see if we use like the Wayback Machine and you see all those other names such as Rich and Alan. You've got Daryl, owner, operator. Then you've got Alex as CEO. And then until you get to the division people, Larry Morgan and Darcy, what are they doing actually? What is their role within IHRA? It's not even listed. So
Doug Foley's there?
Junior. Doug Foley Jr. Yeah. Doug Foley Jr. Yeah.
So you really don't, they don't, what is Larry Morgan's role in all of that? I don't know, man, but this is starting to become, embarrassing.
For all of drag racing, yes. And they keep losing credibility. They do something to gain it, but not gain quite as much as they had. And they just keep losing more and more and more. And you keep making moves like this. You keep having enough people leave. Who is going to run with you? Who's going to operate with you?
Yeah, I don't get it. And I think you're right. It is the person. It has to be the person writing the checks. Has to be. But got to get out of your own way, or maybe you need to fire yourself.
And sadly, overall, I still hope it's successful because Drag Racing Mayhem has mentioned this. Many others have mentioned this. They have now purchased facilities outright.
Right.
And like ownership just doesn't revert back out of nowhere.
No.
And if it does not go well, you've got an issue of Galot just hanging out in the wind. You got Milan hanging out in the wind. You got these other tracks that they're possibly going to buy. Honestly, what is the plan? And until there is a concrete plan, stop.
Weren't they in the process of resurfacing a track?
I mean, again, yes, at Milan. They're already putting a ton of work in. I give them credit. They're doing that. But nonetheless, what is happening?
Yeah. For what? What is your end game?
And
right
also,
now, you don't have one.
If you have a press release for bringing someone on, when you throw them off the boat, you need to have a throwing off release too.
Yep. It's just odd. All of it's odd. And, shout out to Bobby for putting out the article, sometimes you don't make a whole lot of friends when you start telling the truth.
It's being truthful. And, we've talked about it here on this show. And it's like, look, I ultimately hope the IHRA is successful. I believe it will be good for drag racing. I believe it will be good for drag racers. But the fact is, what is happening?
Yeah.
And everything that has happened, it gives me no confidence.
No, it doesn't.
To operate with the IHRA.
Right. And I hope not, Drag Race Mayhem. I hope not. That is not what you need to do. And we've talked about this. That's not even, that's like the UFL trying to say that they're trying to compete with the NFL. No one's going to win on that. That's the same thing with AEW trying to say that, we're gonna go head to head with WWE. That's the death of you. There is no competition when it comes down to NHRA. They are king. But you can be a really good alternative. Need to stay in that lane. But you got to get yourself together. Like, you're out here operating with no plan. And that's never good when you're, basically you're out here shooting a gun that's got rubber bullets.
I would say, I think if this was your local regional pro mod outfit and something like this was going on, that's one thing. But this is the IHRA, and an IHRA that has been saying return to glory, return to prominence,
right?
Return to being an effective sanctioning body in the sport of drag racing, competing with the NHRA and giving an alternative to the drag racer and the drag racing fan. And we're not seeing it. I don't care how many tracks you buy.
Right. Look, they done had more people coming in and out of there than a brothel. This joke is a turnstile.
If you cannot maintain your workforce, how are you going to have an event?
Yeah, you can't. You can't. I mean, you don't even have much of a workforce. Obviously, you don't have the workforce you need because you can't even put out a press release when you throw people out of here.
And you think they would get ahead. You've got to get ahead of those type of things. Again, if you put a press release for bringing someone on, you also need to do a press release when someone goes off.
Right. As a matter of fact, IHRA, you probably should write Bobby Bennett a check. He did your work for you.
I just
come on, man.
I mean, there's a soap opera, As the World Turns.
Yeah.
I remember that. My mom would have it on. I dreaded it getting off the bus in the middle of the day at school. But nonetheless, As the World Turns, and it's quite fitting that they went back to the globe.
Yeah.
Because it is certainly as the world turns of the IHRA right now. And I hope they get it straightened out. I do. But it is absolutely a soap opera at this point.
Circus.
Yes.
Circus. And it seems like there's a bunch of clowns at the top. Because quality people just said, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Alan's like, yeah, I'm just going to go back to my garage and work on my car. I'm good. Hashtag love this life. I'm out.
Right. Again, man, you're hoping that it will do well. You're hoping that it will move forward, and we still get these moments. Like, guys, just stop doing anything that is secretive, and don't announce anything else until you know what the heck is going on.
Right. I mean, I don't even know what you're snooping around for anyway, because they, that they got more leaks. I mean, something always coming out of there when well before it should be. I mean, give some folks some people need to be drinking some Pepto or some Imodium or something, because there's a lot of folks that got diarrhea in the mouth. They just blurting out anything and everything before anything is done, and then backtracking. Yeah. Hard to have faith in something that's run so poorly. So
from what a roller coaster ride it has been. Again, if you all have not read the article, go to competitionplus.com. Bobby Bennett does a great job of outlining the events that have transpired. And Bobby is a great one to go and get an understanding of it all. Because I'm not saying that because we're on competitionplus.com and his platform and what he's built. Bobby intently covered the IHRA years ago when IHRA was doing well with those such as Scotty Cannon and Clay Milliken and others involved. But he saw it go down. He saw it go away in the sense of its pro categories. And he has seen this episode now. So take the time, go read the article that Bobby Bennett put out. It really puts it in perspective. And at this point, I don't have a perspective of hope. I hope that I'm wrong and that we see this move forward in a great way. But this has been an absolute, as you said, circus. It's been a soap opera. The boiler is out of water and it's about to blow, ladies and gentlemen. It seems.
Now I'm going to throw something at you. So I was watching Joe today, and he didn't really get into the weeds about the IHRA scuttlebutt, but he did make a comment that he felt that there was not as much venom for the turnstile and the things that are being talked about for what's going on over there. And if this shoe was on the other foot, and obviously they do take a lot of heat for certain things, and you can say what you want, but a lot of it is rightfully so. But that the venom would be twice as much if there was clown operations going on at the IHRA, that they would be getting murdered in the press. And yet we have barely anybody making a peep out of it outside of Bobby and water cooler talk. There ain't much, nobody's hammering them for that. What's your thoughts along that thinking and his statement there?
Well, if I may, first of all, Nostalgia Drag Racing League. Hey, by the way, hope you have a great event this weekend at Rocket City Dragway. We did have IHRA on the show, and that individual that was on the show is fired or left.
Yep.
That's what we're getting at. Like,
laid out a plan. They had a grand plan. He said some things. We kind of got some things, but really didn't get nothing. But he did lay out a lot of things that they were looking to do. And he ain't there.
Mr. Bird's not there.
He is not there.
So, Dejanay, I'm sorry. I saw that. What exactly, water cooler, and go back over that for me again.
Joe was just saying that the venom that they would have gotten, the NHRA would have gotten, if they had this kind of, circus going on, is not at the level of what the IHRA is receiving. It's kind of water cooler talk or whatever, but no one in the press is murdering them, yet they get slaughtered for less. And
Oh,
like I said, some of it's rightfully so, but in the same breath, I do agree with him. If there were some shenanigans going on in the sanctioning body of presidents and all of that, boy, the amount of articles that would be out and the torches and the pitchforks would be out. Yet we got Bobby Bennett that throws out an article and it's crickets for everybody else.
Right. Well, I would also say on that, when you're at the top, you've got the biggest targets on you. Or we have Wes Buck use the phrase often, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And the NHRA is at the top, and they should expect to get most of the bite, most of the venom for the less even, because they are the NHRA. They're the National Hot Rod Association. And though it says national, it really is Premier Hot Rod Association. It's the top. The whole entire world looks at the NHRA when it wants to come here and race and compete and win. So when you screw up, and that screw up isn't even the biggest of screw ups, it's a big deal. And it should be. And the NHRA should recognize their place and know their place and work on their place. And the fact is, stuff like this happens all the time at the NHRA too. Maybe not quite at the same level, but there's turnover.
Yep.
Was there a press release relating the full details of Al and Reinhardt and them parting ways?
Nah.
No. Do we get the do we get full stories from the NHRA on like pulling hard card credentials from people because of races and because of promotions? And I just, what about the double standard stories? We could have a very long show on the double standard stories.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That happens to a lot of us. It really affected my guy over there, returning to Mac, Mighty Mac over there. So yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of standards out here.
Look, when you're at the top, you're going to get hit, and you're going to get hit rightfully so. Okay. Well, okay. Let's put it this way. When ARCA has an issue, and it is an absolute disaster of a race, and that happens for ARCA, you don't find that hitting mainstream news because they're ARCA. Now, I know that's now under the NASCAR umbrella, but when it happens to Cup, rightfully so, it's like these are the top tier NASCAR officials. They should be lambasted.
Yeah. Yeah. You're the premier, and they expect more out of you. That might be the case. And that might actually be the case. Because to be honest with you, with what we've seen from the IHRA, I think there's no talk because we kind of expect this. This is what they've been doing.
It has been, and that's expressed.
Here we go again.
That's expressed in Bobby Bennett's article. Like ever since it was sold and it got out of Bill Bader Sr.'s possession, it just hasn't been good.
No.
Eventually they get rid of the professional categories, and it just is a sanctioning body for tracks and the sportsman racer. And they could have moved forward with that. But then they had the fiasco with many track owners and operators who were under the IHRA banner and have been under the IHRA banner. You have the WDRA split off. Seem like they're staying true to form. Like, hey, we're for the sportsman racer. We're for these small tracks and these track operators and owners. And a lot of positivity is there. But we just continue to see a spiral out of the IHRA. There was a glimmer of hope.
Yep.
But maybe
it was a glimmer.
But maybe that light was a train.
There's your article right there, Blake. Yeah, it's sad. It really is. It really is sad. And but I think now that we've kind of talked that out, that's why. Because people just expect this from them. It's, you know,
they've had a history.
it's
They've had a
been
history.
a bunch of children trying to do adult things.
And look, I hope years from now, we've got to have whoever it is from IHRA on this show and say, hey, we're sorry. We glad you got it figured out for the sake of drag racing.
Yeah.
But at this point right now, I don't think that day's coming.
In the words of LA Knight, nana. Nana.
I definitely think, I hate, maybe with Daryl and his resources, at this point, maybe it's just going to keep the status quo. And the IHRA has now more tracks, but it's still more of a sportsman racer outfit.
Yeah.
But we don't lose these tracks. We don't lose these facilities, and there's not a turnover.
Yeah. Definitely don't need that with the way, you know, tracks have been, you know, being sold here. Don't need them to screw the pooch and cause this to be a problem, because those are quality tracks that they have purchased, and you know, those folks don't need to have to go through, you know, a bunch of crap because you couldn't get your ass together.
Yeah. Again, I'm disappointed that Galat loses the tractor pulling event. A major, like, this was not a small tractor pulling event. You know, this was the big boys, if you will, coming in for pulling. And it is disappointing that region loses that event. And it's sad that IHRA and the leadership, you know, didn't return a phone call or didn't work something out or whatever for them to have that event. And
that's revenue, man.
I fear we are going to continue to hear some of those things.
Yeah. Yep. Like I said, there's a common denominator of the reason why people are deciding to hit the road. And maybe that common denominator either needs to figure it out and wake up, or I got a better suggestion. If you don't want to do that because your pride is too strong, you might as well just go ahead and fire yourself before this thing turns into a smoldering heap.
Yep. Oh, by the way, we're going to talk about all this drag racing. And if you're further north, there is a drag racing event that you can check out. It's at Lucas Oil, Indianapolis Raceway Park. Cletus and Cars. You've got regional drag racing happening with the Top Alcohol and Top Alcohol Funny Cars. So they're going to be there in action. You can check it out this weekend. Maybe get some spot shots of the new tower. By the way, that is looking grand.
Really?
Yes.
It should. I'm glad that they're bringing it up to snuff. I feel like, you know, Indy should be a polished diamond. You know what I mean?
I agree.
That is the race of all races. You know, you've got a track in, you know, that's just part of the, you know, the heavy hitters, the ones that have been there forever in you know, Gainesville Raceway, that, you know, they have continued to make look better and better. That's Indy, though, and that should be a shining diamond. So it's nice to see that they have put this work in, and it should really, really stand out once it's all done. This should be really, really cool, and a huge part of bringing Indianapolis Raceway Park up to the level that it should be.
Yes, and they're working on that. They are big. This is phase 1, and there's phase 2, and there's phase 3. They are working to bring that facility. You know, in years to come, we will experience Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park completely different for drag races. The pro pits are going to be completely flipped to the other side and more room. It's going to be completely different in the future. And I agree. They're working on to bring it to that premier level where it should be when you're holding, the most important drag race in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I remember years ago, and I'd asked my uncle, he had been to India a couple of times about that. And he's like, it's not what you think it is. It's not. He says, I've been to other tracks that look better than that. You don't get that feel that this is a big deal race. So I'm glad that the investments are being made, because it should be. It should not feel like just any other race when you go.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of going, it's time to go.
It is time to go. Thank you all for tuning in, and we appreciate you, but we got to go. So
we do. We're
going to redline it right on out of here.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline oil products give you the power to crush the competition. And a track record of being the best. Redline oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.
QuarterMileClassifieds.com is a new and easier alternative to online classified advertising. We make it a simple experience with $20 getting your car, hauler, engine, or parts listed for 2 weeks. If you want to make a bigger splash, we have VIP listings that provide even more exposure, including social media. On QuarterMileClassifieds.com, you get up to 10 photos of video and up to 2,000 characters to deliver the message you need to make the sale. QuarterMileClassifieds.com is a trusted classified ad partner of Competition Plus and the Rooftech Top Eliminator Bonus Fund. Visit QuarterMileClassifieds.com today.